This is the Frat House Sports Show. And now, for this week's completely different and often humorous take on everything sports, here are Frat House Mike, Uncle Mark, and Sidekick.
Hey, welcome into another Frat House Sports Show. This is our 203rd edition. Can you imagine that one? And guys, we haven't done one like this in a while. And for those of you that are listening on the radio, you're probably sitting there going, huh? What are you talking? Listen, here's the deal. We do these maybe just a couple times a year. Come back to you with a little video version of our old 5 minutes at the Frat House and then the Frat House Sports Show. And we love to do it for our annual NFL preseason roundtable program, of which this is our fourth. I cannot believe it. We are into our fourth annual preseason roundtable program. And so here's what's going to happen. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to be talking just football. This whole 1 hour that we're going to be here, we're just going to talk football, preseason football 2015. That's it. And we're going to go for about 30 minutes. We'll take a little break. We'll come back live to you on the radio network. We'll take your calls, 347-826-9964. And then we'll go and bring you the other 30 minutes in a little bit later at the top of the hour at 8 p.m. All right, so that's how we're doing this. Follow along with us. Listen, just follow along. You're going to get it real easy. Joining me as usual, we got the usual Frat House gang here with us. I got Brandon over here. I got Uncle Mark. I got Sidekick. We didn't have a Sidekick. You weren't here last year, were you?
No.
Not for the preseason. We had you remotely.
Yeah, he was remotely on the
remotely for
mid-season.
Yep. Because we come back and we do this at the end of the season as well. And we're going to have a couple of topics here that we're going to talk about. We're going to try to keep it to broad topics, and we've got our timer over there in the corner, as we always have for all these 4 years. Excuse me. There you go. Keeping track of our time and letting us know when we have run over. And more than likely we will run over.
And that just means we keep going.
And that's exactly right. You've taken notes from previous programs. Very good.
I kind of remember.
That's exactly right. Now, when the sound goes, we just, it's kind of like, wait, we had an old man that used to say something like that. When the bell rings, you have to work some more.
Yeah, so.
Right?
Right.
All right, let's get into a couple of NFL topics. Listen, guys, it was just about a year ago this time that things started to really pick up. Not in a good way, mind you. It was about a year ago at this time, all the crap hit the fan with the Ray Rice stuff, and then I guess it was just like within a couple of weeks there after the fact, we had all the nonsense with Adrian Peterson, and the NFL kind of seemingly seemed to implode. Now, so far, and mind you, we still have, a good 4 or 5 weeks yet of off-field vacation time for the guys. So far, no real major off-field controversies. As I pointed out, we got training camps that'll be kicking up, I guess, the beginning of August. Nonetheless, though, we're still waiting on Tom Brady and the suspension appeal there, because as we know, we're looking at a 4-game suspension for Tom Brady for the Deflategate issue.
Yep.
We know, because we discussed it on last week's Frat House Sports Show, we know that Greg Hardy was reduced from
10 to 4.
10 to 4. So one would think that Tom Brady's going to get a reduction as well. Yes?
I would think so. Everything that you've heard was there's, all kind of rumors as to maybe backroom deals between Goodell and Kraft. I think from a PR standpoint, if the NFL doesn't reduce it after Greg Hardy's got reduced, and they both have a 4-game suspension, you're going to the media will start comparing Deflategate to a domestic abuse case. So yep. I think that would make the NFL look bad. So
I think it's a fair comparison too.
2 games is automatic just based on that. I think the 3rd game's going to come because the Ted Wells report was kind of sketchy. We've had different, back and forth. We'll bring you our specialists against yours. They might have got a game there, and maybe that 4th game might just be the deal between Goodell and Kraft. You might, anywhere from 1 to 2, 0, 1, or 2, I think are
Have we
the
gone to
options.
the extent of looking at the schedule to determine when it would be most beneficial?
Nah, I don't think it really matters. They're starting off with Pittsburgh on Thursday night football, so, it is what it is. Pittsburgh's down their running back because he got caught with weed at the end of the year.
Right. We're going to go through some of those.
So, he got caught. So, we'll see. I'm expecting, here's what I think will happen. I think the NFL will give him a 1-game suspension, but the fine will be equivalent to 4. And the NFLPA is not going to be happy about that, and they may end up in court or not. We'll see.
Brady has indicated that he wants 0, that's it, and he will take it to court if there's anything
The
less than 0.
NFLPA has indicated that. I haven't heard that as a Tom Brady quote. NFLPA has come out and said,
well,
we will accept nothing less.
They're representing him, right?
Yeah, yes and no. How come we're not hearing the NFLPA on Hardy? Hardy has
Listen,
a better
I think
case.
that they got a gift there, didn't they?
No, because I think Hardy has a better case in court. They already have precedent. Adrian Peterson took them to court because they tried punishing him under the new personal conduct standard when the violation occurred during the old, which was 2 games. That got held up in federal court. If you apply that principle, Hardy should only have 2, not 4.
Yeah, but everybody knows at this point, Brandon, it would be folly to bring that down only because of the public's furor about the crime that we're talking about. I understand.
That's precedent.
I understand.
Okay.
Well, let's get
any
it straight.
surprise,
Hardy beat his punishment, and Brady's is quickly losing air. Brady's going to walk. Nothing's going to come of it, really. And and I don't think anybody really. We haven't heard anything from out of Hardy or any negative because honestly, I don't think anybody remembers it. How many people remember? Everybody will remember Peterson, but a lot of people don't remember Hardy because it was covered up in the the Ray Rice and the
everybody's
AP
going to remember
stuff.
Tom Brady. We're all going to remember the Deflategate situation.
Well, of course, because everybody hates on the Patriots.
But I mean, from your perspective, Psychic, I mean, surprised or not surprised that Hardy got reduced from 10 to 4?
I'm a little surprised. I'm not surprised it got reduced. I'm a little surprised it got reduced to where it got reduced. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, as Brandon alluded to, it happened under the old CBA rules. And Goodell was trying to apply the new rules.
And is that the only reason? That's the only reason, Uncle Mark?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think what they've done is they've built in already possibly a way for Hardy. I think it's a put up or shut up with him. You can get it down to 2. Go ahead and push this thing to court. I think that Hardy, it's a unique situation in which a guy set fire and got away with arson because he never got charged, and he's sitting back saying, wow, I'm a lot better off than I thought. Maybe I'll just wait this one out.
Exactly.
I think my dance card is filled. Mm-hmm. I'm going to wait this one out, and he's going to let it go. But I think actually there was a built-in mechanism whereby he could, if he wanted to try to push that domino, maybe he could and go back to 2 based on the Peterson thing that Brandon brought up.
But I think there's a lot of political correctness that's coming into play here.
Probably, yeah. Especially in his case. See, one thing that Hardy's case didn't have that the others did was visual. Ray Rice had the video. There were plenty of pictures from Peterson's kid with his back all welted up from that. There's been nothing. The female that was involved with the Hardy case apparently got some kind of settlement and gone.
Yep.
And nobody's seen or heard from her. That's why the case got dismissed, because they had no witness, no nothing. So, Hardy already got lucky in that sense. So you might be right. He may just be happy enough, but, I'm surprised if the NFLPA doesn't make him push the issue, because that's kind of their job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not, you don't have to, they could pursue it without him being involved.
They could do it on his behalf,
I don't know if they can file the federal court without him, though, because he'd have to be in it as a witness. So
I would think.
Yeah. So I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
But the NFLPA on Brady has indicated they're not settling for 1 game. So we'll see how that goes.
We're going to see how that gets played out. Now, just going to fines and suspensions, I've got a list here of all the fines and suspensions so far this 2015 season, which we haven't even begun yet. And I got to sit back and I got to say, well, hey, listen, not a bad little side gig for the NFL, as they're looking at bringing in anywhere from about $12.6 million in fines, let alone all the suspended games. Is anything, now we had that situation, what was it, a couple of weeks ago? When was that, Brandon? Was it 2-3 weeks ago where we had 4 guys all suspended all on the same day?
4th of July weekend.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were all pretty much, 4-game suspensions, I think those were. And I'm trying to figure out who they were off of this list that I've got. Because how many are on this list? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. There are 16 players.
Well, it's a quiet year.
Yeah, it is.
16, 16 already on this list. Totaling,
We'll probably have another 16 by the time
believe
that
so.
season kicks
well,
off.
let's hope not.
I was going to say
That's what I'm saying.
before training camp in 2 weeks.
right, exactly.
Are you including or not including fingers blown off?
I believe the 4 were all PED.
That's what I thought too. They were all drug issues.
Drug
Right.
issues.
Right.
So, we're not dealing with like criminals. We're dealing with idiots who don't know what they can put in their body and can't.
Right.
Essentially.
Going to blowing fingers off and idiots, but that's not why you called.
Yeah.
Not a finger.
Yeah, exactly.
But
exactly.
off of this list is any? I mean, I'm trying to even remember some of these. To be perfectly honest with you.
Well, I think the
Josh Gordon
one
yeah.
was stupid because the poor
16
guy
games
for
suspended.
having a couple drinks on an airline when he's not,
Well, he doubled up. They considered it a double up based
Yeah.
on the fact, I guess he was still on, a probationary period?
Yeah.
He's already
he was flying
suspended,
and
yeah.
had to...
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what Josh Gordon is wishing he heard right about it.
Yeah.
Cut me off, coach.
Yeah. Right. Real quick, you want to? I mean, is there anything on there that's jumping off that you want to throw out there that? None of them are necessarily, I think, really earth-shattering.
I think LaRon Landry's 10 games is because he's a multiple offender with the PED thing. So
Ahmad Bradshaw, but
that was just one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that's all about because the way
Right.
the way the suspensions in PED works, it's pretty simple. First offense 4, next offense I think is the 10, and then it's a year. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that one is.
I don't know.
And there's no money. There's no money
Supposedly
aside.
had been taking a supplement that contained
something.
something.
Oh, here we go with this
And
stuff.
If I'm not mistaken, he's recovering from injury, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They lost him, the Colts, last year.
Correct.
And he was recovering, and this was to assist in his recovery. It was evidently something, I guess, proposed by a trainer, a doctor, but inadvertently contained something else.
We hear this kind of stuff happen all the time in Major League Baseball and the NFL. I mean, somewhere along, they got to get their act together on this.
Yeah,
I mean, stuff that's over the counter just is ridiculous.
Well, exactly, and I think that's what it comes down to is that the players need to know now that you cannot trust any product that you buy at GNC not to contain something.
Well, I believe one of the leagues was maintaining a list of approved
I would think you would have
I
to.
believe it started with baseball. And I thought the NFL adopted that, but I think the supplement market changes so fast that nobody can keep up with it.
Shouldn't teams-
Because they couldn't keep testing the products.
And I mean, I'm not saying that teams don't do this, but wouldn't it make sense that a team, says to all their players, I don't care whether they're talking baseball or NHL, it doesn't matter to me. And you say, look, if you're on anything at all, prescribed or otherwise, or even just recommended, bring it into us in advance and let us check it.
Well, yeah, but
wouldn't that make sense?
It's going to fall back to the same thing. Is the team's going to test every brand of every supplement? I mean, that's the thing.
Well, really, I think
not everything, but I mean, of the things that they know that their guys are using right now, that they just.
How does that work with off-season contact too, as far as players are concerned? I mean, are they privy to just?
Well, they're not allowed to have certain contact, right?
Well, I don't
Under
know.
the CBA.
See, that's what I'm asking. Can you approach your team during the off-season when you're not playing for them and say,
I don't even know
listen,
about that. Would
I'm on rehab.
Don't we had a situation with that with Peyton Manning.
That would fall into the trainer area, so I don't think I think that could be sticky.
I think you just have to, unfortunately, draw a hard line and say, look, you guys aren't allowed to do supplements. If you're going to do supplements, you run the risk of potentially, taking in something that could be against the rules. and we will fine you accordingly. So we recommend that you stay as natural as possible.
Right.
You know, and there's enough stuff out there, natural,
All right, let's move it along here because our alarm went off a little while ago.
Smirnoff Ice.
Oh, you're going to need another one, sure. It's hot out here today, folks.
Just a little warm.
Let's, in fact, it might be the hottest day of the year, but I'm actually getting through it okay. It's feeling good here.
Nice breeze.
Yeah. I had brought it up, at least I alluded to it on our Thursday night, this past Thursday night's Frat House Sports Show. I alluded to the article list that came out. Forbes magazine loves to do their list of values of franchises, all sports franchises, major franchises, NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, it doesn't matter. And that list just hit recently, and of course, there was a lot of speculation and talk amongst all of us here about a year ago when Steve Ballmer went in there and just blew the socks off of everybody and bought the LA Clippers for, what was it, $2 billion? Was it $2 billion? $2 billion.
By about $1 billion.
Overpaid is right. Absolutely overpaid.
Yeah, at that point.
$1 billion.
That's what it was valued at, but he paid double.
Right.
And there was a lot of talk and speculation about whether this would have a ripple effect down the line. I contended, and I've contended for the longest time, that it would. Well, I'm not sure whether it has or it hasn't. However, a report came out from Forbes, and the top 10 NFL team values, the Dallas Cowboys broke the $3 billion mark and became the first team to ever go into that atmosphere ever. $3 billion is what they're actually valued at, 3.2.
And that's in the NFL. The Yankees have been over that.
Oh, what are the Yankees? Okay, I'm
because
sorry.
the Yankees own their stadium and their television network.
And I was going to say that.
That's where the money
I was going to say that about the Cowboys too. The Cowboys,
their venue.
Jerry Jones owns that venue.
Yeah, but it's not paid for completely.
The Yes Network for the
It's not
Yankees
completely paid
is
for.
worth
He's
a
still
lot of
financed
money.
out the yazoo for that.
Generates tremendous revenue though for them.
Well, their revenue generation, the Dallas Cowboys, for 1 year is $560 million.
Wow.
They topped the list at $500 million. All right, so that's all their revenue. So you would have to assume in that we're talking everything. We're talking stadium, concessions, merchandising, everything. Okay. I have not looked. I didn't know. What was the value of the Yankees? Do we know?
I think it's above $5 billion at this point. Because that Yes Network in New York is worth buku dollars because all the hardcore Yankees fans can't watch Yankees games unless they subscribe to it. And they basically got, it's kind of like what we alluded to with ESPN the other day on one of our shows. They're trying to hold people hostage for what they want.
Yeah.
And they're getting away with it, unfortunately, because Yankees fans are Yankees fans.
They want to watch,
right?
Yeah.
Well,
so,
you get those lineage teams like you go to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we're dealing with here, right?
Yeah.
Now you go to number 2. I don't consider the Patriots a lineage team. They're really more of a 21st century team, in my opinion. I mean, I know that they have a history there and they go back, but you're not what you would consider to be an old school team. The Giants are an old school team. All right.
If you notice the top couple teams on this list,
Yep.
they all own their own stadiums. Robert Kraft built that stadium with no public funding and very little debt.
God bless him there.
And very little debt. So not only does he own a newer stadium, he doesn't have the payments that Jerry Jones has. So I could see that team's probably extremely profitable. That's one of the organizations I don't think the NFL would love for their books to be public. Dallas probably doesn't look too bad because if you offset the income with the debt, he's probably not bringing home all that much extra. Robert Kraft has it coming in wheelbarrow full.
The bus, looking at, the Cowboys generate more than $100 million annually from premium seat and sponsors, anchored by their 25-year, $500 million stadium naming rights with AT&T.
Gotcha.
But Patriots get it from Gillette. They all have. Everybody's
got their court. Yes.
The nut on that stadium that he's going to be paying is tremendous.
Oh yeah.
So while they're if you're looking at straight revenue, that's fine, but it's not necessarily quote unquote profit.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
That
on
was
that
my
one. That's the point. Right.
with the Patriots. I think they're probably one of the most profitable NFL franchises.
New England Patriots generate $428 million a year. They're valued at $2.6. The Redskins then are number 3 at $2.4 billion. $395 million generated annually. I found the Redskins one rather interesting because don't we have a little bit of a controversy with that team?
I was thinking the same thing.
How are we going to go change the name of this team when we've got the third highest amount of money being generated from a team that has a racially
actually, which brings up an interesting topic. With them losing, in the offseason, we've talked numerous times about them losing the rights to the logo and stuff. How does this affect them financially now with merchandise and stuff like that?
Is it fair? Is it fair to affect it? There's a question I throw out. Because when you are number 3 on the list, not only in the value of your team, but in the amount of revenue being generated, is that a fair thing to do? I mean, essentially, you go and strip that away. You know what you potentially could be doing is bankrupting that team.
Right.
I mean, you're going to take a big bite.
I'd like to see a bigger or a better breakdown of what their profit and revenue, and what does really affect them. But that that loss of trademark could, like you said, that depending on how big that pie is, that could knock them clear down towards the bottom of the list.
Yep.
Well, it certainly answers why Snyder's digging his heels in.
Well,
I mean,
I think he's got a right to. I mean, I've said that before.
I'm not disputing that, but this is released once a year, and we know how internet court works. Hey, good morning, America. What are you offended about today? And here we see the real dollars and cents of it. And if I were Snyder, I'd want to dig my heels in too. If I'm number 3 out of 32, you're not going to be, why are you taking the jam out of my donut? Go find somebody else to it, anyway. So,
Great point.
It kind of balances,
Great point. Giants ranked number 4, $2.1 billion. Houston Texans, number 5.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's regional, right?
Another Texas club? Is that what
regional.
it is?
That may be another owner who's smart with his stadium as well.
New York Jets, number 6, 1.8.
See, those two surprised me. They must be New York only because neither one of them actually owns the stadium in that market, which is those are the only two that I see on that list that I'm pretty sure every other one's owned by the team owner.
The Eagles come in at number 7, $1.75 billion. Chicago Bears, 1.7. Again, an older team, not surprised.
Right.
You got that lineage thing going on there. San Francisco 49ers, 1.6.
That's Levi Stadium.
Yeah, you got to get
brand new $1 billion stadium.
Plus, you got the Western influence. I'm not surprised by that. You do have a little bit of a legacy sort of thing going on there. Baltimore Ravens come in at number 10, 1.5.
That one's kind of shocking.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that one. Now, interestingly, there was a series of articles. Okay, I'm going to get to that in a moment.
That must be time.
Yeah. There was a series of articles that was put up. I just want to bring up the rather interesting analogy or comparison real quick to this. There was a series of articles put up, I think it was about a week ago, and I posted a lot of them over on our Frat House Sports Facebook page. Frat House Sports, leave spaces in between, look for a little purple icon. Give us a like. Study done by a couple of professors from Emory University talking about fan bases. Who are the greatest fan bases in the NFL? Number 1, the Dallas Cowboys. Number 2, the New England Patriots. Number 3, the Giants. Now, they were 4 on the value list. Number 4 on that list, there was the Ravens. Yeah, apparently the Baltimore Ravens.
Sidekick's wearing a Ray Lewis jersey.
We were trying to, didn't want to bring that up, but it's everybody. 5, the New York Jets. 6, the Chicago Bears. 7, the Packers. Now, surprisingly, the Packers weren't up on the top 10 in value.
I think that's stadium related as well. That's the publicly owned team.
Right.
So nobody owns that per se. There is no owner. Green Bay owns it.
8 was the New Orleans Saints. 9 the Indianapolis Colts. 10 the 49ers. Now you get down to 11. Now you got the Eagles. Interestingly, Seattle Seahawks 26th.
Wow, that's a little surprising.
This is fan base support. Fan base support.
They're the 12s.
Just for everybody's edification, 32 the Dolphins, 31 Browns. Where were the Rams? 23rd. Cardinals 19.
Well, you know, it's a funny thing because I was reading another sort of a mock on this. And
Okay,
they talked about,
I like mocks.
They talked about who were the biggest bandwagon fans. And my Cardinals rank right up there, as do the Seahawks. And there were a handful of others that escaped me. But when you go to bandwagon fans, you almost turn that list on its head. I don't believe the Patriots were in the top 10, but they're up there too. There's a lot of Patriots bandwagon fans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's a funny thing how people jump on and jump off.
The Eagles weren't though, were they?
You know, it's funny. I was gonna wear my Sherman
I don't recall
jersey.
seeing them on the list.
Yeah,
no. And they didn't do all 32.
The Eagles.
Speaking of bandwagon fans.
No, what? The Eagles? No.
No, I was just commenting that I was going to wear my. I was
Richard Sherman.
thought about wearing my Sherman jersey.
Yeah, how about it? Right.
All right.
Would have been the perfect F and tap for bandwagon fans.
Let's get on to the next topic. I just brought up the Philadelphia Eagles, and I threw this on here. Interestingly, really as a request, I guess, kind of to Sammy, because Sammy had brought it up to us, and we were hoping Sammy was going to be here. But he brought up a number of Philadelphia Eagles points in suggestions for what we would put on the roundtable for today. And there were so many things that he brought up with regard to the Eagles. I said, well, you know, son of a gun, now that I think about it, broadly, I guess we have to put the Eagles on the list, because I'm going to throw this question out there to anybody that wants to jump in and answer it. Has there been a more, I don't know, controversial, compelling, the word I use here on the outline, befuddling team in the offseason? Well, the Philadelphia Eagles? Has there been, really?
Well, honestly, I
mean, I know we live close to it, and I hate to sound like a homer.
Well,
but
I echo your sentiment, but, you know, it seems like of all the teams in the NFL that, you know, draft/off-season moves, it seems like Philadelphia's made the biggest splash as far as picking up people and doing stuff. I don't recall hearing any other big, teams making these big splashes with, like big name, series of big names, acquisitions and stuff. I mean, you're talking about, and I don't want to, steal your thunder here, Mike, but you're talking about Murray, one of the best, if not the best running back in the league now, is an Eagle.
But they did get rid of McCoy, who is also considered one of the best in the league.
Well, yes. You'd have to be considered in the top 5,
so,
for sure. Maybe he didn't have that kind of a season last year, but
right.
And there just seems to be so much hype around Chip Kelly and the Eagles.
Well, it's just like all these big question marks hanging out there.
Well, yeah, because they kind of think he's an, Belichick and Kraft and Brady, we know, are certified evil geniuses. Okay?
Okay.
And well, hold on. Chip Kelly hasn't proven that he's a certified evil genius yet. And I think he's trying to make his mark that he is.
He's at Hogwarts School for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely in the mentoring program. You know what I mean? Because you just scratch your head at some of this stuff, going like we would scratch our head at the Patriots.
Yep.
And and they would pull it off without a doubt. And I don't think we quite have that trust in Chip Kelly yet. But you're seeing signs potentially that the guy might be knowing what he's doing.
Really?
Just saying.
Really?
Just saying.
Really?
Might be.
What do you think, Uncle Mark? Really?
Well, I think here in Philadelphia, and I'll speak to the culture we've seen in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a problem.
The culture?
We love
the culture?
Philadelphia has a problem with being a little too sentimental. We hang on a little too long. We
Yeah.
like to keep our guys around a couple extra years. And the problem is, by the time we realize we need to rebuild, it's way too late.
Absolutely.
Now,
MLB.
on right, exactly. It does go to
NHL.
It goes to it goes to those two particularly. Now, on the flip side, we do have the other two in like Hinkie for the Sixers, and we have now Kelly for the Flyers or the Eagles. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to establish the fact that yes, number one, we're going to make bold decisions, but number two, we are not going to base those on any sense of sentimentality, hanging on, feeling good. We want to win, and we want to win now. So in a way, I kind of embrace the whole balls to the wall kind of thing. I don't mind that, because when you look at successful franchises, they do the right thing, and they cut guys before they're at their expiration point.
Cardinals a good example.
Knowing
St. Louis.
that they're going to need to replace, refuse, retool.
Yep.
And you look at the greatest show on turf. That's one of the things I loved about them was, with that organization at that time, is they were like that. They were balls to the wall. We're either winning big or we're losing big.
Right. But there'll be no gray area.
Right. Exactly.
And listen,
there's no mediocrity.
If we have to cry, and you as a fan base have to cry, we guarantee you only cry once. But we'll all celebrate together.
I'd like to hear that guarantee. I'll tell you. I hear it from you. I'd like to hear it from them.
Well, I agree with you, and there's no doubt, and I'll kick it over for Brandon's take too. There's no doubt that at this point, Chip Kelly is rolling big dice.
Oh.
And I mean, this is going to either make this guy, or it's going to annihilate him. And if he is shot out of the cannon as a result, and this thing goes belly up, I don't know where he's going to wind up. Maybe back in the college ranks. We'll see, because he's pushed every button that you could possibly push with Philadelphia.
It's not just pushing the button. He's pushed all the chips, pardon the pun, into the middle of the table.
Absolutely.
Brandon, real quick, I want to get into Murray. Mm-hmm. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And, everybody loves to keep pointing to, hey, they got DeMarco Murray. He was the leading rusher last year. And then, of course, people come back and go, well, yeah, but they gave up McCoy to get it, All right, fine and good. But we have looked at the numbers, and we know that these guys don't repeat from one year to the next. That's not been the pattern in recent NFL.
I agree, but here's the thing that you got to look at with the Murray deal and the McCoy deal. They saved over half of McCoy's salary and replaced him with what many see as a suitable replacement. You're talking about 2 top 5 backs in the league, period. However you want to rank them, you know what? It's irrelevant. They're in there somewhere.
But he's injury prone.
Yes,
we know that.
But McCoy was injured last year and did not have a great year either. So the beginning of the year, he was fighting some kind of injury the first few weeks. Here's where I think Chip Kelly blew it. I think his plan would have been evil genius-esque.
I think I know where you're going.
Had they pulled in Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
They did a huge salary dump by getting McCoy out and Murray in. But part of his deal was Bradford. He was going to flip Sam Bradford to the Browns for 2 first-round picks that didn't flip. Mm-hmm. That deal fell apart for whatever reason. Now he's stuck paying $13 million to Sam Bradford when they had Nick Foles at a couple $100,000 in the second to last year of his contract. So the Rams pulled off a coup because I think, they got a better quarterback back. That's just my opinion. I think Foles is going to turn out to be very good.
Well, they're pulling off a couple coups.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that
And they got rid of a guy who tore the same ACL in consecutive seasons and got out of paying him $13 million to do that. So I think that's where Chip Kelly kind of falls short. Had he made all the dominoes fall, and granted, it was probably a long shot that he would ever get to get up to number 2 to get Mariota.
Okay, but there's little doubt, and I hear it coming from you. Mm-hmm. Throw it out to Sidekick and Uncle Mark. I'm right in your corner. Little doubt that, in fact, the Bradford move was a flip.
Oh,
it was
totally
intended
convinced.
to be a flip. Bradford was never intended to be here at the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what you're saying? I concur.
I've heard both sides of the story. I've heard Chip Kelly wants to go with.
Yeah, he's going to say that now.
You know. But I thought it was a ridiculous move. I mean, I welcome Nick Foles to St. Louis.
Of course, I would too.
You know, because I've been, you know, and I don't want to speak disparagingly about Sam Bradford and the talent, but the guy's injury prone. And as I've said on previous panels, we as an organization, the Rams, did not do our due diligence and bring him up to NFL potential like we should have.
No.
I think it's a two-sided. His injuries, and I don't think changing his offensive coordinator every year.
Right. And how many times I defended him.
Right.
And how many times have I said right here on our own airwaves, jokingly, I've been a big proponent of Sam Bradford and said, hey, he might work someplace else. But I never expected it to be my team.
Oh, careful what you wish for.
I know. I don't know, Mark, any thoughts? I mean, I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now. Chip Kelly, in my opinion, I think is, as you point out, has rolled the dice on this situation. Yep. If Bradford doesn't work, guess what? Chip Kelly is gone.
Yeah, I tend to agree that I think the play for quarterback he didn't have a backup plan in place. I think with Murray, he actually did, and that's why we have Ryan Matthew, former running back from the Chargers. Now, you know, Matthew brings his own set of question marks as well. But at the same time, I think that it helped Chip Kelly come to a sense of peace, I guess, with the ultimate idea that, hey, if this thing doesn't flip right, I have a dual-pronged ground game attack that I can probably make work. Well, and that's maybe how we're going to try and do this, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly a Bradford hater yet.
Well, I don't have any reason to hate.
I think he's tremendously accurate. I think he's clearly unproven. We haven't seen the guy do it, but he has a good sense of reading.
I agree.
Of reading defenses. He has a good execution and mechanics. He's decent with his feet. If they can protect him, it may work out to be sort of a stroke of mad genius.
It may.
We'll see.
The injuries are too much of a problem with Bradford. He's too much of a.
My guy Carson Palmer's coming off the same kind of thing. Now his were different knees and over different, a longer period of time. Yeah. But I'm hoping my Cardinals come back with a quarterback who last year, through 6 or 8 games, showed, hey, we're championship. It could happen in Philadelphia with Bradford, assuming all things go in the right direction.
And real quick, I want to bring up a name that we haven't thrown out here. And when you look at the Eagles, you gotta be sitting in hog heaven. Yeah, we've talked about Murray, we've talked about Matthews. What about Sproles?
I was going to say Terrence Sproles is the X factor.
Come on now, you can't tell me you're not sitting on Happy Street if you've got those 3 running backs sitting in your stable.
But they have no wide receivers.
Exactly. Thank you very much. I was just about to say, wait a minute, this is not a running game anymore.
But still, Sproles opens it up.
Jeremy Maclin went to the Chiefs.
That would have been the case with Mariota, though. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean Bradford's in any worse shape than Mariota would have been from the wide receiver standpoint.
Except Mariota is a read option guy.
He can move. Yeah. He can run.
Bingo.
He can carry.
I think I can sum this up real simple.
Yeah, do it.
What do you like better, Nick Foles and LaShawn McCoy, or Bradford and Murray? Mind you, the Bradford-Murray offer costs you about $8 million more a year, and you lost the 2nd-round pick in that trade.
Okay,
and your backup is Tim Tebow.
Oh, stop it.
Mark Sanchez ain't much better.
Stop it.
He's a Sanchez guy.
Yeah.
I guess as the standard bearer,
sandwich guy.
The guy that's carrying the Eagles flag here amongst the 4 of us. Here's how I would answer your question, real quick. I like the comfort level of what I've got with Foles and McCoy. I like the comfort level. I know what we've got there. I kind of am intrigued by whether this is going to work or not.
Adding Ryan Matthew to Foles-McCoy combination probably would have been...
That would have been sufficient, right?
Big question's
that would have been a coup by itself.
Here's the funny thing about Frat House,
whether Bradford can stay upright and make that field.
Exactly.
Frat House Mike is a gambler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he wants to play safe.
I was going to say,
when it comes
that's
to
why
the Eagles.
I couldn't believe he wasn't going with me on the chip thing. Although he said he did want to hear that guarantee from somebody other than me. So maybe I guess to your point.
Where's your?
Hey, listen, not for nothing.
My cojones.
Not for nothing. Nick Foles might actually have a very successful year out there in
it may
Rams
work out.
world. I mean,
it may work out.
I think he might actually find a niche for himself. The problem there is young receiving core, and I think they still only go as far as their defense will take them this year. But Foles, we might sit back.
Let's put it this way:
at the end of the year and talk about we wish we had.
Tad, what Mark was saying, Uncle Mark was saying. We're talking about a team that plays in the best probably division of football in the NFC West.
Correct.
That was 8-8 last year with no quarterback.
Right.
Whatsoever. So now you add in a Nick Foles, you add in the fact that the 49ers have imploded. Seattle looks like they're on the precipice of imploding because the Russell Wilson contention with the ownership.
And a team
His Arizona Cardinals have a quarterback coming back from injury.
We're gonna be
I think the Rams make the playoffs.
And
I think the Rams and Cardinals both
and
make
a
it.
team that was looking
at
And the
a team that's moving, so they're going to want to be leaving with a winning season.
Oh yeah,
How about that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want to.
And you know what?
I hate playing that angle because I don't want to see him go.
Good flipping ring.
I don't either. I don't
want to see
either.
him go.
Well, let's put it this way.
But
Nobody's
I hear
lining
you.
up to be the temporary NFL home out there.
I'm gonna
What
tell
do we
you,
hear?
good luck
I
with
mean,
that.
At this point, they're looking at the
Dodger
StubHub-
Stadium.
the
Dodger
StubHub
Stadium.
location, which has 27,000, and give Roger Goodell a
change.
reason, and he'll jack that.
That'll change.
He'll get the
all the other
prices
arenas, the
jacked up
Rose
for that.
Bowl has said no
They've said
thank you.
no. Pasadena,
The Anaheim,
right?
where they used to play,
Well,
says no
they've
thank
said
you.
no.
Slow your
That
roll.
StubHub location.
Can I tell you what's going to happen? We're going to be coming back and talking about the St. Louis Rams 26 weeks from now, as we were 26 weeks ago when we did our end of season. We're going to be talking about the Rams at the end of the 2015 season. Trust me, 26 weeks from now, we will be in the indoor studio doing our roundtable, and we're going to be talking
Not
about the Rams.
outside?
And I'm going to tell you, we probably should have. We should have thought about it. But anyhow, that's all right. Listen, we talked. Let's get to our next topic. Holy smokes.
Get in the house. No, get out of the house.
Yeah. Well, we're just a bunch of kids. Get the kids out of the house. Get the kids out of the house.
We sit here in
That
90-degree
game is
heat doing this one, and we're talking about sitting in the middle of January, end of January outside for the other one.
Yep.
Could we pick further extremes?
Well, hey, that's what we do here at Frat House Sports. We're always thinking ahead. All right, let's get over to our fourth topic here for our roundtable, our fourth topic on the agenda. And it's interesting because all of a sudden we've talked a lot about quarterbacks. Bradford and Nick Foles and hey, well, how about this one? I came across this one yesterday, and I got to tell you, I frankly thought it was incredibly fascinating. USA Today came out with, and God knows how they came up with this, and I'm not even going to try to figure out what the sabermetricians were thinking of or what their formula was in coming up with this. But they came up with their ranking of all 32 potential starting quarterbacks in the entire league, and they ranked them. All right? So here's what we've got. Number one in the league, according to USA Today, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers. He got a 9.3, whatever, like I said, this formula is. Number two, Tom Brady. Number three, Drew Brees. Number four, Peyton Manning. Number five, Andrew Luck. Okay, so far so good. Number six, Ben Roethlisberger. Number seven, Tony Romo. Number eight, Phillip Rivers. Number nine, Matt Ryan. Now things are going to start getting interesting. Number 10, Russell Wilson. All right, now let's move it on down. Number 14, Joe Flacco. 15, Ryan Tannehill. 16, Sam Bradford. 17, Colin Kaepernick. Carson Palmer comes in at 19. Teddy Bridgewater comes in at 21.
Only rookie to make it, right?
Robert Griffin III, 22. Andy Dalton, big time money coming to him, as we know from last year, 23. Nick Foles, 24. Geno Smith, 26.
Oh, there you go.
Jameis Winston, rookie,
Yeah.
27.
He's a new rookie.
Marcus
thinking last year.
Mariota, 31.
How can they rank those two who haven't
Well,
played a
they're
game?
looking
I
at.
agree.
They're probably,
Where's Derek Carr? Was he on there from
Derek
the
Carr,
Oakland?
sure he is. Derek Carr, number 25.
He was 25.
Who is number 32?
Number 32 was Brian Hoyers. Brian Hoyer.
Well, my first look at that
What do you think?
list, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning are too high. I think they're overvalued.
Okay, wait. Hold on.
At this point in their career.
Back. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling I know where you're going there. You're looking at it from the standpoint of what's their future value. I think USA Today is looking at it as what their value right now. You think Tom Brady is not a number 2 quarterback
I think
in this
maybe
league
3
this year?
Maybe 3. I think Andrew Luck should be
Interesting.
2. I think Andrew Luck got
Whoa.
shortchanged. I think Joe Flacco, I know you don't like him.
No.
The man's won 2 Super Bowls.
Nope.
He should be a lot higher. Andy Dalton's too low, and I know you don't like him either.
Come on.
Where was Eli?
Carson Palmer's too low.
Out of curiosity.
Number 12.
That's
Eli,
too
number
high.
12
He's been horrible.
between Cam Newton and Matt Stafford. So it goes Newton 11, Manning, Eli Manning 12, Matt Stafford 13.
That's just my
Joe
my-
Flacco,
my
number 14.
initial opinion.
Okay, I hear
I'm
you.
even telling you Brady's too high at 2.
I hear you.
Andrew Luck is clearly number 2 behind.
Well, at number 4, I kind of like my keeper move to maybe take
Peyton Manning
Peyton
shouldn't be
again
any
this week.
higher than 10 on the season he's
What?
coming off of.
What?
He had a horrible year at the end of
Who?
Peyton Manning last year.
No,
From the middle
I
of season
can't
on,
wait to see
it was
Frat House
horrible.
Mike's fantasy
No,
team
He had no strength on the
implode
ball.
No,
His
when
completion
Peyton
percentage
retires.
was
That's
barely
what I
at
was
50%.
thinking. I mean,
he didn't win any games that mattered.
Right here.
All right, go ahead.
This is
Go ahead, roll them out. Roll out the fantasy implications. You want the list?
Well, no, we were just saying.
There you go.
I hadn't seen the list.
We,
Go ahead,
our
there you go.
sidebar conversation
I read it.
was
I read it.
we'll
Didn't
watch
remember it.
Frat House Mike's fantasy team implode when he either A, gets
Hey,
hurt
listen.
or he retires.
I ended up in the 8th in the entire league, but
You
ended
put-
up number 1 as the number 1 seed going in. And what let me down? My quarterback. I understand. But
Because the second half of last year, Peyton Manning sucked. Period.
All right.
He had an injury, we think. He never would confirm it. He had no zip on the ball. He couldn't complete a pass, with any kind of NFL quarterback gusto.
So you
We
were saying
all-
kind of limp.
Yes. Well, if he had a leg injury, he couldn't plant. That was the thought, that he had a quad injury, possibly to both legs.
yeah.
And, I'll give him a pass on that.
He did confirm after the fact that he had some injuries. That
Yeah,
he was
but
hiding.
they should have, they'll never come out and say it because the NFL will rag on the Broncos for not doing the injury report right. So,
All right, go ahead. You got any comment?
No, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what to say. I mean, if you were to look at it on straight talent, I don't even know you would include Buffalo. No offense to our Buffalo Bill fans, but I don't think you can include, Matt Castle as the starting quarterback. I don't know they have a decent starting quarterback in Buffalo.
There is a
I'm not-
record on Matt Castle.
I agree. And listen, I was a proponent that somebody should go out and get him in free agency, but I didn't necessarily believe he would be a starter. And I'm starting to change my tune a little bit from what I've seen there. The Jets are another one. I'm not sure what you're doing there. I mean, if you were to take actually, quarterback and rank them, I think you would find a couple of good backups that might be better than some of the starters that we have on the list there. I'm wondering about Matty Ice. Is he proper at what number?
I
was
know,
he?
number 9. I thought that was a little high.
And, for as much hate as Tony Romo gets,
Guy, listen, you
I
can't
thought he
deny
was
it.
appropriately. I thought he was about right.
he's a good quarterback. And I think last year
He had a great year last year.
this area of the list where you got Romo, Rivers, Ryan, Flacco should be in there, not down at 15. That's where this list is flawed.
Perhaps Cam
Joe
Newton.
Flacco.
I'm not sure what we.
Right.
Cam Newton,
What can
11.
we say about Newton? They had to do that. He got a $100 million contract or something.
He's won some games,
He
they
played
weren't
well.
the greatest division last year.
He did
but
show last year he could stay in the
Well,
pocket.
see, and the problem with
actually throw the
Flacco
ball.
and Eli Manning for that case is when they're on, those guys are on.
Yes,
I mean,
their off
as
games
we've
are
seen
bad.
with Eli and Flacco
Eli,
winning their
yeah,
Super Bowl.
Eli in
both
particular,
of those,
you're right.
when they're on, them guys are balls to the wall on.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they're off, they're just
Awful.
they're disastrous
They're
off.
awful.
And I think that's what kind of
Eli
plays
will go
into
out there
their
and throw
value.
for 5
Yeah,
interceptions.
the fluctuation.
Yeah.
Is just because they're not,
Sidekick, let me ask you real quick. You see a list like this. Now, you're kind of like where I am right now. In fact, you're exactly where I am. Because
where are we?
I think he's got a better outlook at quarterback than the Eagles. Just saying.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm going to ask him. You and I have just flipped sides. That's all. You got Nick Foles. I got your Sam Bradford. Nick Foles is ranked 24th. How you feeling about that one?
I was dancing in the streets when that went down. Are you kidding me?
I think the Rams are going to be
That's when we need
They
the sound
stole.
drop. We need the sound drop. Dancing in the streets.
They stole, dude.
Well, but no, listen.
Fisher
Financially, yeah.
stole
Talking about
that
value.
one. My God.
Financially,
Yeah.
yes.
But I think Foles is a better. I got to word this correctly. He's a safer bet at quarterback than Sam Bradford.
Health-wise,
Yes.
that's where you're going.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been
He's good
Sam
with the
Bradford.
So you're willing to diminish productivity for health?
Because when the Rams haven't had Bradford,
I know you won't. You won't agree with me on that. I know you won't. Go ahead.
when we haven't had Bradford, the Rams have been horrible. And we haven't had him enough. He's probably played 4 or 5 games in 3 years.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right. I get it. Small sample size.
And that's the thing that I think we're missing. I'd rather have a quarterback that might be a little bit lower in a skill level, but is our starting quarterback for the whole season. Now, Foles does have some injury question marks
Well,
about
he's got
him,
the left
but
shoulder.
not
Wasn't his
nearly
throwing
Bradford's.
No.
Not nearly.
And I think the upside is
Plus
better.
the
The money's irrelevant. I think Foles has the
but it's a
potential
1
to be
year
a
only.
good
You're getting
quarterback.
1 year out of
I
that.
think over there
Very
too.
good.
I agree. I think he's
there
going to
any-
match that.
No, I would have taken
think he's
Owens
gonna match that
for a year.
Well,
Is there any talk, and I should have, maybe I did, I don't remember. We had Pat Emick on a couple of weeks ago. And, as we get closer to the beginning of the season, we'll have to get Pat back in. But there's no talk out there at St. Louis about extending his contract before he opens the season?
There has been.
Okay, go ahead.
They were talking about a $100 million type contract deal for Foles.
$100 million for Foles. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, same kind of thing they paid
my
Cutler.
God.
yeah, or Camp.
Yeah, yeah, one of those.
Lord almighty.
Whether it'll happen or not, I don't know.
But wait a minute, does anybody really
Prior.
feel that there's a good report card on this guy?
I-
I mean, from any season. You've
If
got
you
one
look at his
season where he
quarterback-
went, what, 26 and 4 or whatever it was?
But even in his other seasons, he's not thrown a lot of interception. His decision making is good. His completion percentage
accurate.
is good.
Yeah, he's
accurate. He's got the tools to be a great NFL
He
quarterback.
can read defenses.
Great.
He could be.
Oh,
You don't know.
Lord, great.
You don't know.
Yeah,
great.
we could be sitting here 26 weeks from now talking about how great of a deal it was that
I just got that
Bradford
saying.
could have a huge season with the Eagles and Foles could have a huge
26
season.
weeks from now, I guarantee you we will be talking about the St. Louis Rams. I guarantee it. One way or
Well,
another.
yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, no, I would agree with Sidekick. I mean, this might be the perfect swap. I mean, for all the right reasons, Chip Kelly might be able to cobble together just enough success for Bradford to rekindle some sense of career. And at the same time, I think Foles is absolutely untested waters. I think he goes out there to a franchise, as you said, that is looking for consistency. We want something behind center that we can count on. They've been living on their defense. I mean, it was very like my Cardinals for
And they've done a good
3-4
job of
years
that.
in a row. And exactly. And that's my concern, is that they will only go as far as their defensive unit takes them this year, but it could actually completely
I
swing.
think the question marks for both teams are going to be the O-lines.
Yep.
Is what it's going to come down to.
Yep.
Foles is going to go out there. If the Rams don't improve their O-line, he's going to get lambasted just like Bradford.
He didn't play behind
He's
the
gonna
best in Philadelphia, let's be honest.
And the same goes for Philadelphia. If you put Bradford out there and you don't have a good O-line to defend him,
Right.
Bradford is out week 1 or week 2, and you're on Sanchez or Tebow.
Right.
time.
And just a funny note, I mean, I don't think Mathis,
Debo
who we let go from Philadelphia, I don't think he's been signed, has he?
No, he has not.
Nobody picked him
Evan
up.
Mathis has not been.
Pro bowler. He's still.
I read an
so
article.
it goes back to Chip Kelly saying, you know what? Hey, we've had fun, but
Well, and
time to go.
The
You know,
problem
it's-
with
go ahead.
Mathis, though, is he got cut at a bad time. No team has the money, cap money right now. What'll have to happen is somebody, another guard will have to
Injury
get
down the
injury
road. Yeah.
who
During-
gets
he might
IR,
get- during-
and
he might get
then
training
he will
camp or
get,
He might get
he'll get
wiped
it.
up. Yeah.
Well, the team just can't sign him at the value he wants to sign at.
No,
because
that's
they
number
don't
one.
have
And
the
you're
money.
right. At this point, they're maxed out to 90.
Most
They
of
haven't
them.
gotten to their cuts,
Right.
let alone injury.
Yeah.
Right. I hear you.
So that's
He still has a play.
if somebody gets hurt in preseason who goes on IR and
And is
the
out
team
for the
gets the money
season.
back,
Right.
yeah,
Then
maybe.
all right. The
Probably.
Let's get over to our final topic, and it's a traditional one at this particular time. We're going to go in and look. I know it's early, but we'll take a look at the divisions and see what is shaken up and what might change up, and maybe even give a few predictions. I don't know. I mean, if anybody's apt to go in that particular direction. The first place I kind of want to go for a moment here is to the NFC South for a moment. Carolina won the division last year with a 7-8-1 record, and then then thereafter I think we know what happened. I mean, New Orleans 7-9, 6-10, Tampa Bay 2-14. And then anybody can bring up any division they want to or run it around any way you want. I don't care, but I'm going to throw this question out there to just kind of kick things off and start it. Are we going to see a team come out of there with a winning record this year? For God's sake, I would certainly hope so. Is New Orleans? New Orleans you would think they've got to be the strongest team. But we would have thought that last year, right?
The NFC South
Go
needs
ahead.
to be relegated to Pop Warner.
Oh, my Lord. Well, yeah, but we can't do that.
I know, but come on, that division is just horrible.
I think the Panthers are going to end up with a winning record. They had a lot of good pieces last year.
Well,
I think they're going to be on the upswing. They had a good receiver, and I
It's
believe
gonna
Uncle
mean-
Mark had him on fantasy. Calvin Benjamin.
very fun.
It's
gonna be year two.
They picked up one, I believe, in the draft as
Yeah.
well.
So I think they're going to be the winning team out of the South as a part.
but that's going to mean that Newton's got to have a revitalized year. He's got to come back. He's got to
played
get
injured all last
If he,
year,
I
too.
was going
At
to
the
say,
end of
if
last
his
season, he was
ankle
good.
and his
Right.
knee
And
are
his
good,
ribs.
right?
He played 6 weeks with broken
he had the
ribs.
ribs, but you
Yeah.
know what? It's a funny thing that didn't seem to affect him because he actually stood in the pocket and passed better than he ever has in his career. So for him, I think the mobility was the issue, where he couldn't jackrabbit out. So assuming I could buy in on that. And I think he has a couple of weapons.
Well, and he actually did play better, if I'm not mistaken, if I recall correctly, better in the last third of the season.
13, 14,
Yeah,
15,
last third of
he
the
started
season.
to get a bit better.
But
And the
looking at-
Dirty Birds from Atlanta are always a wild card.
I don't know.
And
With
new
Julio
coach.
Jones and
New coach.
New coach.
so
And Matt Ryan's going through a lot of quarterback coaches himself, has he not? Didn't he go
changed.
through 2 there? Now this will be his 3rd, I
I
believe.
think this is his 3rd set of
Yeah.
offensive coaches.
That can
so,
be a
yeah.
confidence killer
Yeah.
if you don't have the mind for it.
Right.
There's no doubt.
So I'm not so certain about Atlanta, but I will tell you what, I got to go back to New Orleans. Because when you sit and you look,
I
let's
think
go
New
back
Orleans
to.
is done. They're too old.
Wow.
Too
Okay.
old. Drew
Yeah.
Brees is
Okay.
on
no,
the downside.
absolutely.
They let one of the running backs go. They traded Jimmy Graham for a draft pick to the Saints. I think that they had no receivers last year. Marquise Colson looked old. I think he's done. Their defense was one of the worst in football, even with Ryan as the coach. I think they're
They
going to
haven't
be.
done an upgrade at running
They
game,
haven't
although they're
done
going to
nothing.
have to go there this year. They really have to establish running game, I think, in order to be
I
relevant.
think losing Jimmy Graham takes the only weapon they had off the field.
Yeah,
I
you
think,
know, not
I
for
think
nothing.
they're on the done.
Not for nothing,
Yeah.
he's still going to get his looks, I think, in Seattle, even though he's going to be a blocker and he's going to have to play a little more physically. He's a young man. I think he's still going to get his looks. I think Seattle made out nice in that.
That whole controversy with them 2 years ago and stuff with the bounty gate and all that
It's
stuff.
3 actually
I think
now.
I think
They're
that
still
just I think that just killed any moment. They were right at the peak.
Yep.
And that killed
That
all their
year
momentum.
was probably their year to win. Well, they did win one. They did win one
Yeah.
Super Bowl. They
So,
did.
Right.
But I think that killed any kind of,
I think
repeat or.
Brees' lack of size.
That was a
and
win
age.
against Peyton Manning, was it not?
Yeah.
Let me bring up a couple other divisions real quick because you do have some
Don't say
interesting
nothing.
things here, and I don't want us to completely run out of time. But AFC North last year not only generated a division leader, but we also had both of our wild cards out of there. AFC West as well. Denver Broncos are a big question mark apparently this year. So I throw this one out there. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Denver. What's everybody's read on any of those?
I think Pittsburgh's kind of in the same boat as the Saints. I think they're starting to get old.
Yeah, well, we said that last year.
Yeah.
But yet they had an incredible season.
They did. We'll see how it goes.
Won the
this
division.
year. We'll see how it goes this year.
I think
The Bengals, I think, need to find something. They defy explanation sometimes.
Well, you would
And
think they've
the
got
Broncos
it.
are going to ride on Peyton. Let's be straight. If he's back
Yeah.
to
It's the
any
last
kind
hurrah,
of
though.
form, yeah,
This is their
okay.
last hurrah. They're looking at rebuilding. I think, irrespective of win or not in the Super
Oh, yeah.
Bowl for Denver.
You
Yeah.
got
See, I think the Broncos are too old.
You got to think Kansas City and San Diego right now are sitting back licking their chops.
Yep,
Yep.
I agree with that. I think San Diego, if they can get some consistency, they should win that division going away. Really, they should. Whether they do or not, we'll see. But
Oakland may show relevance though this year. That I'll say. I don't
may
see
be
them.
better.
I don't see them
I
as a
don't see them as a
playoff
playoff
team.
team.
No, I don't see them as a playoff team. But I believe 500 is not beyond expectation for them. And listen, not to dump on our friends in the South, but the AFC South isn't terribly much better
I didn't bring 'em up, did
than
I?
the NFC South. If you look at
the
what we,
Colts.
No, I
well,
hear
I was
you.
going to say,
I hear you.
if you look at what they put together last year, you had one team at 500 in the Texans, and you had one team over 500 in the Colts, and you had two deplorable teams in the Jaguars and who am I missing? Titans.
Tennessee. And I don't see.
And I don't know.
New quarterback,
I mean,
yeah.
quite frankly, I'm not sold on Tennessee.
I'm
regardless
expecting
of
Tennessee to go
Mariota.
backward.
I don't
I'm
know how
not
much
sold.
further
How
back
do
they
you-
can
Well,
go.
Well,
Jacksonville-
Tennessee was 9.
How do you go backwards from
Well,
2
not
and
Tennessee.
14?
Yeah,
not
I was
Tennessee.
going
I
to
mean,
say.
Houston.
I mean, they'll get two.
I'm
That's
expecting
a
Houston to
Rams.
go
You go
backwards.
1 and-
Houston left.
Yeah, they go 1 and 15 now.
I'm expecting them to go
The
backwards.
team out of that
Not-
you got
not
to watch
Tennessee,
is the
but-
Colts. The Colts signed
Yeah.
The Colts
a
are
good
real.
running back,
Yeah,
and
I
they
agree.
signed Andre Johnson from the Texans. They are loading up for a Super Bowl run.
Right.
The crazy owner out there made no bones about it.
Right.
Super Bowl. or
Have
bust.
another scotch.
Yep.
Let me
Well,
jump over to the NFC real quick. All right. NFC East is, again, here we go.
This one's so
Intriguing. We don't know where it's going.
This one's
Cowboys won the division last year. Eagles did not get into the playoffs with a 10-6 record. We've talked about the Eagles already. Big question marks there. The Giants are being discussed right now as a potential team that might be
No.
coming up. I don't know. All right, so you got the NFC East. In the North, Minnesota, Teddy Bridgewater looked pretty darn good. Does that kid have
I like
what it
Zimmer.
ta-
I liked him last
and I
year.
like
Lots of people.
Bridgewater.
And
there.
I think, you know what? I think Zimmer did the right thing. I said it when the AP thing came out. Zimmer has no problem. He's one of those guys. He's sort of like a Chip Kelly. Hey, you know what? It ain't about feeling good. It ain't about sentimentality. It ain't about yesterday. It's about what we're doing today and tomorrow. So you can get on and you can play, or you can go over there and you can sit in the corner. And I love it. And I'll
Have a
tell you
beer.
what, that Minnesota team could make some noise. It's their last year playing outdoors. They're going to be at a new home stadium next year. They want all of that momentum to take them to their new home.
Now, of course, they're in there competing against Green Bay, but I could see a team like Detroit falling off.
Not really. I think Detroit's still in their sweet spot. I mean, Stafford's not old.
Yeah, but I'm saying to fall
Calvin
off.
Johnson's not that old.
I'm saying fall off in favor of Minnesota.
Maybe in another year or two, but I think
interesting.
Minnesota's going to make a move up. I
Okay,
don't think
NFC. Anybody? Throw them out. What do you think? NFC East. Anybody?
Dallas.
NFC East.
Dallas.
Well,
They're going to win the East
NF
because their other teams are just too all over the place.
The NFC
I
the
would've said
Redskins
Dallas
are not a
lock.
conversation.
Dallas a lock?
Had they got Peterson in a trade, their only question mark is who's running the ball because Murray's gone. Other than that,
They're
Dallas.
talking Randall.
Well,
I think you're talking
Randall and
in the East.
and McFadden.
In the East, you're only talking about the Cowboys and the Eagles. The Giants and the Redskins aren't even in the conversation.
Okay, so where are you going?
Okay, so those are your two talking pieces. And it's a matter of if Chip Kelly's master plan comes together.
I think the Eagles
Basically.
are in for trouble, personally.
So do I. I do too. I do too, and that's just me being a Philadelphia fan. I'm a doomsayer. Anything jumping off at you from the NFC that you want to?
You know, I'm not going to touch the East. I'm not even.
Yeah, I got. Yeah, I know, that's fine.
I don't find
The West could be as interesting.
I don't find
The West
anything
might
very
actually
compelling there.
have the West
Yeah,
might be compelling.
Yeah, no, I
think
agree.
that's going to be the best
Yeah.
division in football again.
Well, I think
Just different players at the top.
San Fran, I'm almost eliminating.
Yes.
Yeah, they're about
Yeah,
done.
unfortunately, I think the wheels are off the wagon with them. They
were off
I
last year,
absolutely
kinda.
see the Rams moving up. I'd like the Cardinals to mitigate last year's disappointment, and they still had a winning season. So, I mean, I'm counting on my Cardinals to get me a dozen wins, and I think that's absolutely doable, and it might be
Yeah.
enough to clinch.
I think
And the
Seattle's-
Seahawks,
Yeah.
the Seahawks are still the cream of that division.
No, I don't think they are.
But
I agree with
but I
on that.
think
I think you got to defer to
it's
them.
coming.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be starting to come back down to earth. But I think right now they're still the cream of that division.
I don't know. I think you still have to defer to them. I really, really do.
Everybody gets up for them, though. That's the thing. I mean, listen, last year they lost to the Rams. So let's not forget that Seattle. Oh yeah, they're great at home and they have all that bravado and muster and bluster. But you know, bottom line, if it comes to slobber knocker, smash mouth, they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
Wow.
Hey,
Fun.
is that amazing
That was a
or what?
whirlwind. Yeah.
Boom.
I mean,
It's over already.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
We just ran all around the NFL. I mean, amazingly, in our 4th annual preseason round table. Invite you, please, all to continue listening as we're going to continue taking calls on anything that we talked about here. And you can reach us, 347-826-9964. That's how you can get a hold of us, 347-826-9964 on Blog Talk Radio. I want to thank all the guys here. We've gotten through the afternoon here at the Frat House. A little hot. Amazingly, I don't think I broke a sweat on my forehead. I can't believe it. Yeah, I can't believe it.
That'll change once Foles or Bradford goes under center.
All right, guys. To sign off as we usually always did on our video programs, I got to do it the same way.
Absolutely.
Despite the fact we're not going away. Stick around with us. But for the video portion, hey, you know what you got to do. Keep us real, keep us live, and keep us going.
And the sidekick salute.
We got a sidekick team.
Yeah.
We're going to go, there's 5, and if we go 8 minutes each,
Okay.
which we'll go over on some of them.
Yeah.
But if you time it to 8 minutes each, that'll give us enough leeway to jump, to go a little bit over, and then like keep it within the time frame though.
Yeah.
So 8 minutes is where we want to go. I'm also going to, I also want to take, I'm not going to say I'm going to take a break, but I'm going to do probably, I'm going to do for me what would be tantamount to being an audio break after topic 2. And that will be where I cut it for the show, for the radio show.
Okay.
Because we're going to go 30 minutes on the radio show and then come back, and then we'll do the second 30 minutes thereafter the fact, just like we did for
last year.
Right. Well, actually, it would have been the January show, because last year at this time we didn't actually have the radio
that's right.
network.
We didn't do radio, right?
But we'll go 30. So I'm not actually gonna say cut.
We're just going to pause.
I'm just gonna kind of Okay, guys. That was Let's get on to the next topic. Pause, and then we'll move on from there.